everybody, this is Caitlin here, and welcome to the slightly changed schedule of Card Game Wednesday. It'll probably be taking me a little bit of a while before I get used to saying that, obviously, since we've had Card Game Tuesday for a while. But now, with a little bit of a schedule change, we have Card Game Wednesday, and hopefully, with this change, I can bring you some more on schedule, on time actually, Force of Will content, or even card game content, depending on whether or not I decide to take up any other card games, even though I feel like I won't. But currently now, Force of Will, we're in this little hiatus area where the new set won't be coming out until December. People are still playing with the cards, obviously, from Ancient Knights and the starter decks that just released. But going over Ancient Knights, there's obviously quite a lot of cards in the card pool, but obviously that is due to the fact that we have some of the starter deck cards in the actual set. But looking at the cards that came with the new set that weren't from the starter decks, there's quite a few that I think people will like more than others. But personally, I have here my top 5 favourite cards from Ancient Knights. So I've got a little bit of like a little stipulation here and whatnot as to what cards I would pick. I specifically set myself the barrier of not picking any cards that were featured in the starter deck. So none of the kind of different alternate artworks / reprints, whatever, from the starter deck are going to be included in this list. I'm also going to be including at least one card of each attribute, so it's like a little bit fair and it's not favoured too much from one colour to the next. And I also think I disqualified J rulers / rulers, as well as the special magic zones that go with those rulers. So basically, resonators, additions, and spells get a fair cop in this anyway. We got one for each attribute, and we're going to be going over them. And coming in at number 5 is actually one that I don't own many copies of. I think I only own one copy of this card. It is Kame, the Demon of Vice, who is a 4-cost resonator for 2 fire and 2 void, a 1000/1000 demon. People are speculating that maybe because of the name of Advent of the Demon King, demons are going to be a big theme in Rhea Cluster, or at least for the next set. So perhaps this demon in particular will work very well with some cards in the next set, who knows. But when this card enters the field, you recover a target resonator with total cost 2 or less your opponent controls. You gain control of it until end of turn, and it gains swiftness until end of turn, which is very nice. Whenever a resonator you control attacks, this card deals 200 damage to your opponent, and you can pay Firewell and banish a resonator. This card gains swiftness until end of turn. So all in all, what you can do is, by him entering the field, you are stealing and recovering something that your opponent controls that's 2 cost or less. You're getting control of it, it's getting swiftness. You can then attack with that card that you just stole and deal obviously 200 damage to your opponent. And then you can even then pay a fire and banish that resonator that you stole, and you can give Kame himself swiftness, which is a really devious tactic here. And also one of the reasons why I quite like this card is because of the artwork in particular. The artwork is quite stunning, going from the fiery demon fire in the background with the different tones of purple to the actual image of Kame himself. Although we're not too sure yet whether the kind of humanish portion of him is what Kame really looks like, or whether this kind of swirling purple fiery mist thing is what Kame really looks like. Because when you're going down at the bottom of the kind of artwork there, it kind of looks like his legs are made out of fire. You can't really tell too well, obviously, because this isn't a full art of the card or whatever. It's just the generic SR. But I want to inspect a full art or whatever, so I can get a better look at his artwork, because I bet it is absolutely stunning. And really, that's one of the main reasons why I like this card. Also, I like the kind of tagline at the bottom here, the little blurb, plotting in secret, and I think that says lurking in the shadows of the world, he makes bargains with mortals. So he's kind of like the little devil that sits on your shoulder. He's whispering little words of vice, and he's trying to get into your ear. I'm wondering if he's going to have a role to play in the Rhea Cluster story, or whether he's just a throwaway demon character and whatnot. But he seems really interesting. I would like it if he had a bigger role to play in the overarching story and whatnot. So that's mainly some of the reasons why I like him. I do want to build some kind of deck that's kind of reliant on him. I'm not too sure exactly what yet, because I have a couple of different ideas of what I want to maybe do with Kame here, but hey ho, he is my number 5 pick. Moving on to our number 4 pick here, we have a card that I actually use quite a lot in the pre-release for Ancient Knights and whatnot. I managed to get a couple of copies of these. I think it was Arrow Trap, which is a 1-cost quick cast spell for green. This card deals 600 damage to target attacking resonator. If that resonator has flying, this card deals 1200 damage instead. Now, I like this, although whenever I was playing this card, I would always forget that you have to use it on an attacking resonator, and I would use, sometimes I would do it on, say if my opponent was blocking, and obviously that would be a blunder on my part, but as long as you recall that it needs to be attacking in order for you to pull this off, then that is fine. I do like the idea of maybe your opponent swinging in with quite a weaker one with maybe not so much defense, whatever, so that you can kill it, because there's only 600 damage, which depending on the attacker might not have that might not have big defense, although it might have a lot of attack. But then it also has the stipulus of if its resonator has flying, then you can deal 1200 damage instead. So if your opponent thinks that you're going to get a lot of damage in or whatever with a like a 1000 flyer, if they have it, you can just like play this and be like, hey, because your thing's flying, I'm doing 1200 damage instead, which for most things would kill like a resonator or whatever, because obviously this doesn't affect J/resonators, which is a shame, because if it could affect J/resonators, then it would be amazing. But I do like this card overall. Also, the artwork is really nice. This card's only an uncommon, which now that we get like full art kind of foils for uncommons and commons is a lot better. But I do kind of like the artwork here. It's like, I'm not quite sure if this is a dark elf that's like lying here or whatever, who's been caught under some arrows being fired off by like the kind of like the wind elves and whatnot. It's kind of hard because you've got dark elves and then you've got like normal elves. So it's like, what do we call the normal elves? Are they just like default elves? Are they elf vanilla, or what do we call them? But I quite like this spell. Maybe it's like one of my favorite, obviously, from green. I don't know if it's my absolute favorite from Ancient Knights, but I know just like looking over the cards and options that I had, I was like, you know what, I really need to give Arrow Trap its due, because it is one of my favorite cards from the set that came out, because I think it is quite useful actually, like in determining, like depending on what kind of green deck you are running, whether it's kind of like counter spells, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. But I think it is a very useful spell to have, even maybe even just in the side deck. It is really good. Moving on to light now, and we have reduction, which technically kind of partners up with the Pandora Golem deck, but I can really see this working in any kind of light deck who has access to obviously the Mountain of Will. It is a quick cast with 1 light and 1 void, and basically all it does is target resonator becomes a 0/100 until end of turn. So it's sort of like I'm trying to think. It's not like a poor man's water bear transformation magic. It's sort of like an alternative to it, because obviously bear magic turns something into a 4/4, which usually is like, you know, small enough to kill most things. But obviously maybe opponents can do a workaround where they can like beef their stuff up to like a certain level thanks to the 4/4 buff and or 4/4 transformation and whatnot. This one in particular I feel is quite good if, say, your opponent is swinging in with something quite big and you decide to block, but then you make their thing like a 0 attacker with only 100 defense, so you are most likely going to kill whatever they are swinging with, which is why I like it. The only obviously downside is that it's a 2 cost, which maybe some people would say for a quick cast chant that all it does is make something smaller, maybe wouldn't be so good. But I think given that it's only 2 will and it's only 1 light and 1 void, which means that you can kind of get away with like spending other colours of will if you are running 2 colours and whatnot, I think that is a fair trade-off, considering that, you know, you're reducing something to have absolutely 0 attack and only 100 defense. Unless your opponent pulls off some crazy shenanigans like with I think the spell is Fair's Command or something like that, the one that cancels quick casts, then I think 9 times out of 10 you'll be able to pull this one off, depending if like your opponent's not running counter spells and everything like that. So that's really one of the main reasons why I love this card. Also the artwork, again, this one's only a common, which means that you can get like foil full arts and whatnot, but this one is, I love the artwork on it as well, with Pandora, and it kind of looks like either the golem is attacking her or she's doing something to the golem. Like, I would think, why would the golem be attacking Pandora? Because surely the golems are protecting the sacred temple, because at the bottom here it says leave here and never return. So I'm not quite sure why she would be using this kind of magic against her own golem, unless it turned against her or something like that. I'm not too sure. Like, the nature of golems needs to be explored, guys. We need to learn the intricacy between the relationship between Pandora and these golems. But overall, this is one of my favorite light cards, if not one of my favorite light cards from Ancient Knights, because of how awesome it is. Next up, we have a blue card. We have Spinning Aqua, which again is a pretty simple chant. And I noticed that most of the chants that I've picked for my favourites on this list are actually all quick cast, which is actually kind of funny. But this one is a 1-drop blue quick cast one, the Spinning Aqua, with the lovely artwork here of the kind of water umbrella Aqua, repelling the flames of maybe Carrick, perhaps. Basically, all you do with this one is that it puts a target chant from your graveyard into your hand, which, depending on obviously which colour and which kind of combinations you're running with, can be very good. So obviously, say you're running this with just the maybe you splash this into the blue starter deck and whatnot, you could use this to bring back your weather change rains and all that stuff. You could bring back things like your bounces, all your things. You could bring back another Spinning Aqua if you really wanted. You can bring back all kinds of spells. And obviously, if you are, say, not mono blue, you're running 2 different colours, like maybe you're doing blue black, or maybe you're doing I don't know, like blue green, depending on what your setup is and everything like that. You can basically get to recycle things that maybe normally you wouldn't get to recycle, say if they didn't have remnant, so you couldn't remove them from game and everything. So I think it is a really handy spell to have. Maybe people would say, oh, well, you're paying 1 to just get 1 spell back, but sometimes 1 spell can be all the difference between you and the victory of a game. You know, you never know what kind of thing you could pull back from it. You could pull back something which is going to, like, change the game for you. Like, obviously, because it's a target chant, it means that it's like you can't get around the wordplay of whatever, that you need to like you need to specifically pick a chant, so that you can't like say, oh well, technically resonators are chants when you are casting them. It's like, no, you need to like actually pick a chant, like a spell card or whatever, not a resonator. You can't like get away with that basically. But I also really like the artwork for this one as well. It's also another common one which you can get in full art. So yep, basically all your commons and uncommons that you really like, you should just be aiming for full rarity with those fabulous full art foils, because the artwork for this set honestly is absolutely amazing. Also, if you've not seen Negative Legends video of the top 10 Ancient Knights artworks, you should watch that video, because you know he's got some pretty awesome points for some of the artwork that he picked for that video. So just a tiny little plug there. If you haven't seen that video, you should check that out, because I really liked his opinions there on some of the artwork from Ancient Knights. But moving on to our very last card here, this would probably be a very obvious pick for Darkness, considering that Darkness has quite a few decent spells in this set actually. Like Darkness aiding both Rhea and Freela, because I want to get their names mixed up relentlessly, but I need to remember which one's which. But the artwork for this one, for the card Lethal Arrow, which is my top 1 pick for Ancient Knights and whatnot, it's just, well, going on, like, first of all, I just like the card as well. Like, just not even, like, counting the artwork itself, just the card itself and its effect. Lethal Arrow, 1 cost, quick cast, sorry. Don't know why I said quick cat there, but quick cast, Darkness, for 1 drop. Destroy a target damaged resonator. This one just works so well. This is obviously like the Darkness versions of Demon Flame. Obviously, Demon Flame, I believe, is still currently in rotation, because it was in Vingolf 3, so it's technically part of Lapis Cluster now, so Demon Flame is technically still in rotation, so you could even use Lightning Strike. You could maybe use Blood Counters from Mikage. You could use a majority of different things that can damage resonators for like little chip damage, and then you can just like sneak in with your lethal arrow and be like, hey, I'm going to destroy that damaged resonator, just like no problem at all. I also kind of like I also didn't even realize that when I was making this list. I like how 2 of the cards that I've picked for my top 5 cards from Ancient Knights feature arrows in some way. We have like the dark lethal arrow, and then we've got the arrow trap from green. So that's kind of not symbolic, what's the word? It's like philosophical, maybe that's the right word, or I'm not even sure what the word would be, but I quite like this card. It is one of my favourites. It's like one of those sneaky little snipe spells and whatnot for Darkness, and also like down below, never show a weakness to the Dark Elves, because those Dark Elves are going to exploit it with their sneaky sniping arrows. I bet if they played Overwatch, they'd be Widowmaker. They totally would, just be hiding in the shadows and whatnot. Seems like the Dark Elves would be on their side or something like that, but this is a awesome card, and I'm just trying to think of ways I can include this in either Mikage or, in Rhea, or even some other Darkness decks, whatever that I want to build, because this is such a good card for dark decks. And overall, guys, that has been my top 5 picks from Ancient Knights. Let me know, guys, if I've picked any of the cards that you like in particular, what your top 5 cards are from Ancient Knights. I might actually do a list where I do, like, my top 5 picks from the starter decks, and I might even do another one where I'm going through the artwork or whatever, because as much as I loved Negative Legends picks, whatever, I do have, like, some different sort of opinions on some of the ones that I appreciate for artwork and whatnot, so I might even do that video as well. Like, I'm not too sure yet. I'm still debating and whatnot, because I have, like, ideas for deck profiles and stuff that I need to do, but obviously I just need to get a couple of cards and whatnot, and hopefully, fingers crossed, with the help of some of my local players from my local game store, we're going to be doing some deck tech / deck profiles on some of their decks that they've been building with Rhea Cluster and whatnot that they've been doing these last couple of weeks. So hope you guys are looking forward to that, looking forward to the new setup, or rather the new schedule for Card Game Wednesday now. Leave a comment down below, guys, if you enjoyed this video, and until next time, guys, I will see you all later.